It started with a gut instinct. It usually does, doesn't it? A small shift in her tone, a certain tenderness in the way she spoke that hadn't been there before. When Laura would say, "I'm meeting a friend for lunch," there was a softness, a carefulness, that only stood out because I knew her voice, its rhythm, its sharpness, like I knew my own. We'd been married for 8 years. 8 years of early morning coffee rituals, shared hopes whispered in the dark, and the deep, quiet understanding that comes from building a life with someone. I thought we were solid. Sure, we argued now and then, but what couple doesn't? I chalked it up to the usual bumps that come with time. Then one evening, I noticed a message glowing on her phone beside me. I hadn't meant to look. It just lit up. "Can't stop thinking about today." The number wasn't saved. When I asked her about it, she let out a nervous laugh and said it was just a group chat. "You know how girls are," she added, brushing it off. I didn't push, but something lodged in my chest that wouldn't go away. That night, lying beside her, staring at the ceiling in silence, I knew. Deep down, I knew. Over the following weeks, she had more and more lunches. Her explanations became vaguer, her stories thinner. I reached a breaking point. I'm not proud of what I did next. One afternoon, when she left her phone unattended, I opened it. The messages I found weren't just flirtatious, they were unmistakably intimate. They were filled with emotion and desire. The man's name was Eric. My stomach turned as I scrolled. This wasn't some meaningless fling. There was depth to their conversations, a connection I thought Laura and I still shared. For days, I carried that knowledge like a stone in my chest. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I didn't know whether to confront her, leave, or ask for an explanation. I already knew I didn't want to hear. But in the end, I didn't do any of those things. I took another route. I began to plan. Carefully. Quietly. I dug into Eric's background and found out he worked with Laura on a sales project. He was married, too. His wife's name was Christine. I found her on Facebook. Petite, kind eyes, 2 little kids. I hated what I was about to do to her world, but my sympathy wasn't enough to stop me. I hired a private investigator named Frank. Gruff voice, hard face, all business. Frank delivered. Photos. Eric and Laura leaving a hotel, laughing, touching, kissing in her car. I had all the proof I needed. Then I reached out to Christine. My message was short and honest. "Hi, Christine. I know this is difficult, but I believe your husband Eric is having an affair with my wife Laura. I've attached photos. I'm sorry you're hearing this from a stranger." She replied within the hour. "Thank you for telling me." From that moment, things were in motion. I couldn't stop it, and maybe I didn't want to. But there was one more thing I needed to do. One final step. I wanted Laura to feel it, to see the hurt, the destruction, to understand the weight of what she had done. I invited her to lunch. Just us. "Let's go on a date," I said with a smile that didn't quite reach my eyes. "It's been a while." She seemed pleased, almost relieved. Maybe she thought I was finally letting go of my suspicions. The day of the lunch, I set the table like we were celebrating something. White tablecloth, our best cutlery, wine glasses. It looked romantic. But at the center of the table, where a candle or flowers might go, sat a thick manila envelope, everything Frank had gathered. When Laura walked in, her face was bright. But the moment she saw the envelope, her expression changed. Her eyes flicked from it to me. "What's this?" she asked, her voice tight. I didn't answer. I simply gestured for her to sit. Reluctantly, she did. And as she opened the envelope, her smile vanished. Her hands trembled as she flipped through the pages, photographs, messages, undeniable evidence. Her jaw clenched. And I watched. Not to punish her. Not to humiliate. But so she would finally see the truth she had tried so hard to hide. "I can explain," she stammered, though her tone betrayed her doubt. "Explain what?" I leaned back in my chair, keeping my voice composed but laced with steel. "That you've been lying for months? That you've been sneaking around with a married man? That our marriage meant so little to you?" Tears gathered in her eyes. "It's not what you think," she whispered. "Then what is it, Laura?" My voice rose despite my efforts to stay calm. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've been playing both sides, living a lie and expecting no consequences. She broke down then, her sobs filling the silence between us. She kept murmuring apologies, but they rang hollow. I didn't stop her. I let her sit in the ruin she had caused. When she finally looked up, cheeks soaked and eyes pleading, I hit her with the truth I'd been holding back. I spoke to Christine, I said evenly. Her expression froze. You what? She knows everything, I told her. Just like I do. You didn't just betray me. You shattered 2 homes. Well done. At that moment, a knock sounded at the door. Laura turned, panic flashing in her eyes. I got up and answered it. Christine stood there, calm on the surface, but her eyes radiated fury. Behind her was Eric. Laura's face drained of color. What is this? She whispered. This, I said, is the reckoning. What followed was chaos. Christine let loose years of bottled-up anger at Eric, who stood dumbstruck, unable to defend himself. When Laura tried to step in, Christine turned her wrath on her. Don't you dare justify what you did, she spat. You're selfish and deceitful. The things Christine said weren't suitable for polite ears, but every word hit its mark. Eric tried to excuse himself with some nonsense about feeling neglected at home. Neglected? I scoffed. You had a loving wife and 2 amazing kids, and you threw it all away. By the end, everyone looked wrecked. Laura and Eric were shadows of who they had been just hours before. Christine and I shared a look, no words, just a shared understanding. We had both endured hell, but we had made it through. Things unraveled quickly after that. Laura packed her things and left that very night. I filed for divorce the following morning. Christine did the same. When she handed over the evidence to Eric's employer, he lost his job. The gossip spread quickly. Laura's name was dragged through the mud among our friends and neighbors. And rightly so. As for me, it wasn't an easy road. There were nights I cried myself to sleep, days when it felt impossible to move forward. But I did. The rage slowly gave way to a quiet strength. I began therapy, started running, reconnected with people I had lost touch with. 1 year later, I feel lighter, freer, happier than I've been in a long time. I've learned to recognize my worth and to expect truth and respect from the people I let into my life. As for Laura and Eric, last I heard, their relationship didn't survive under the weight of what they'd done. Revenge might not be the most noble motivation, but sometimes it's the fire we need to take back control. And that's exactly what I did.